Welcome to the Watch Party, pal. You're from the neighborhood Master Chaos here. This is also a live commentary track, so for those of you that have seen the movie 1,000 times and don't necessarily want to sit through it again just with me sitting here quietly watching it with you, don't worry, because I will not shut up. I promise to bring you movie facts, interviews with the cast and the crew, based off of interviews I find online and things like that. So I will be talking the whole time. If you're watching live, you can chime in on the chat, and we will, make it an interactive, fun adventure. Hopefully you'll join us live for the next one. If not, it's okay. The replay's just as good. Now, for this to work, you have to have your own copy of the movie. Go ahead and pop in your DVD. Is there a Blu-ray? I don't think there's a Blu-ray, actually. That's crazy. Pop in your copy of the movie. It's streaming on HBO Max. That's what I'm going to be watching it on. In a moment, we'll do an audio test to make sure you don't hear the movie so YouTube doesn't ding me for it. So go ahead, get your movie ready. Don't start it just yet. As a matter of fact, what you can do if you're watching it on, at home or whatever, hit play, but pause it right before the movie starts, right at like the 0.00 second start there. So that we can all be on the same page, so it's not weird that I'm talking about something you're like, wait, but that already happened, or that hasn't happened yet. It helps if we're on the same page.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, motherfucker.
Let's get to it. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Admittedly, not one of my favorites. Not one of my favorites whatsoever. Razor says, can't wait to watch this film that has zero homosexual undertones. Yep, zero. None whatsoever. Jason says, Elm Street 2, oh hell yeah, let's do this. Let's do it indeed, Jason. We will be talking about the undertones, the fact that whether you like it or not, this is probably one of the gayest movies ever made. For better or worse. That's not in a disparaging way, but the movie was certainly speaking to a culture, and we'll talk with we won't talk with him, but we'll hear from the director, and he'll mention, how it was not intentional. But you look at this movie, and you're like, how the fudge was this not intentional? There's no way that this movie was not intentionally made for a homosexual audience. I mean, there's like a leather bar scene. Come on. Do me a favor, those watching live, let me know if my mic is okay. I want to make sure sound is okay before we get the party started. I'm going to get everything queued up here. Got my movie here on HBO Max. And I've got all my facts over here in this corner. My IMDb's and whatnot. Let's see here. I'm going to play a second of the movie, and if those watching live can tell me if you can hear the movie, that'd be great. Jason says sound is great. Thank you, Jason. Let me know if you can hear the movie. I'm going to play just a random portion of it. It should only be coming through here. Gulager's in the kitchen. He's making noise. Can you guys hear the movie? I'm watching it right now. Clue just said bird rabies. Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you, Razor. I appreciate it. It's hard to do it when there's a delay and you don't know who's watching and if they're able to comment. Alrighty, let's do it to it. Everybody ready? Let's watch watch along Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and I'll give you my running commentary as we go through it. I'm excited. I hope you are as well. I'll put the movie here at a kind of level where I could listen to it and still be able to talk. Okay, on the count of 3, I'll say 1, 2, 3, play, and that's when we start the movie. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, play. All right. Movie's rolling. We got the New Line Cinema logo. Of course, New Line Cinema wanted to take advantage of the success of the first movie. Wes did not want to come back, so we have a new director, which we'll be talking about. This sequence is fantastic. It's just a wonderfully constructed sequence, and a great way to begin the movie. Dare I say, probably the best part of the movie is the bus sequence, because it's just so epic, and probably more epic than anything in the first movie. Stan says, we're about to watch the gayest film ever. Pretty much. I'm not sure if you guys have seen, there's our star Mark's documentary, Scream Queen, where he talks about the making of the movie and how it affected his career. You know, for better or worse, back then it was, tricky to be out and be the star of a movie like this. It's a shame, his career didn't explode as he had wanted it to, which, hey, that's Hollywood, man. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Love this. Of course, that's the lovely Robert Englund, out of costume. Yeah, Mark is so stupid looking. I mean, obviously it's a dream, but geez. All right, let's talk about this movie. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, is from 1985. It runs 1 hour and 27 minutes. Directed by Jack Shoulder, with writing assistance by David Chaskin, who, as we see here, picking up right now, of course, based loosely off characters from Wes Craven. Of course, Freddy is the only real carryover, and mentions of Nancy as well. The film doesn't have as many huge names as the first one had. We had way more interesting cast in the first movie, but Robert returns. We got the young Mark Patton. We got the lovely Kim Myers, Robert Rusler, Clu Gulager, who would be called probably the most famous name in the cast, and we'll talk about Clu later on, the late great Clu Gulager. And Marshall Bell, who plays the creepy coach, Lyman Ward. I mean, these are all character actors, but I wouldn't put them, anywhere near the caliber of some of the supporting cast in the first movie. But this movie specifically, I think, is really important to the franchise, because without this movie, I don't think we would have gotten the rest of the Freddy movies. And I don't mean that just because it's a sequel, but because it sort of set the template. The first one was sort of a perfect storm, perfect encapsulated thing. This one showed what we could do with Freddy, with other people involved, and how it would evolve the franchise. Of course, from what I understand, and don't quote me, Wes Craven was not a fan of the second movie, and that's why he returned for the third, which I'm very, very much looking forward to discussing with you guys on a future watch-along. And he sort of righted the wheels, but a lot of the stuff in this movie sort of breaks the rules of what has been established in the first movie, and I think that gave other filmmakers and writers carte blanche to basically fuck with Freddy. And, Freddy's mythology is kind of what makes him unique. I mean, all the killers have a unique mythology, but his mythology is so bleak. And the rules of the dream world aren't 100% explained. You can do anything with it. And they do. And I think this movie, the biggest issues I have with this movie is that it goes in a direction that I personally did not like at all. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where the script honestly had a big fault. They didn't understand the heart of the material, as far as Wes was concerned, as far as I was concerned as a fan. And while visually it's interesting, I really hate Jesse. I'll be honest, I really hate this character. Not because he's, gay or anything, but he's just a really weak character. And it changes the way Freddy works. And I think that's I think that's just par for the course with something like this. Now, I tried to find other reviews for this film, but they were hard to track down. This movie, of course, features The Reds, the soundtrack Terror in My Heart. Not an amazing movie, but an amazing song, I should say. I love this bus sequence. I think it's just very well put together. And there's Freddy, of course, giggling. Look at that. I mean, that's all miniatures, but beautiful, just beautiful. And there's Fred. Now, of course, it's not really explained what happened. We are led to believe, of course, without knowing the sequels, that Nancy died. Nancy got killed. Chuck Russell directed 3, but Wes wrote it. So he came back to change things up. I mean, at least that's what he wanted to do with it. Look at that cereal. Is that Fu Manchu? Fu Manchu chews? What the shit? That's crazy. Yeah. You're just having a bad dream, man. Relax. Okay, it's time to wake up, Pally. Just double checking that Wes Craven wrote the story for part 3. Frank Darabont and Bruce Wagner wrote the script, but Wes was integral into sort of writing the ship there. But we won't talk about 3 till we get to 3. There's the amazing Clu Gulager, the late great Clu Gulager playing a dad. You know, and I think he really makes this movie special. He's a very realistic dad. I wonder if they ever called Rhonda. No, he doesn't want that racist cereal. Fu Manchus. Holy shit. Boy, this movie's got a lot going for it. Oh my lord. Okie dokie, let's talk about the director, Jack Shoulder. He directed, honestly, one of my absolute favorite science fiction movies of all time, The Hidden. Great movie. And we may do a watch along for that because it's such a good movie that I'd love to talk about that movie. It's so good. So good. But of course, he did this movie. This was his third movie. No, his second movie, technically, because his first one was a short. Alone in the Dark, the famous Alone in the Dark, which was released fairly recently from Scream Factory, with Jack Palance and all those characters. And that's not Nancy. Sorry, fake out. Kim Myers. We've got Alone in the Dark as his first feature with New Line. And then they brought him Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And I think this is probably the best time to talk about Jack. We have an interview with him from the website theflashbackfiles.com. This is an interview with Roel Hannon, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is what Jack has to say about Freddy 2. The question is asked, did you hesitate when Bob Shea asked you to do the second Nightmare? And this is our director speaking. Yes, my initial feeling was to say no. My friend who had produced my short film, The Garden Party, said, "Don't be an idiot. The movie's going to make a lot of money and you will have a career." That was good advice because Alone in the Dark didn't do much business. It got me an agent, but they were more interested in me as a writer. If Nightmare 2 hadn't come along, I might have made another film or two, or I might have wound up being an editor. So I said yes, and we were off to the races. Yeah, sometimes you never know. You know, I know, I won't mention his name, but I know a pretty well-known filmmaker who was offered a big movie and he turned it down because it didn't seem like his type of thing, and then it blew up and it became kind of a cult classic that he regretted not doing. You never know. You honestly never know. The question from the interview says, "I saw the documentary Scream Queen about Mark Patton. You participated in that, of course. I was wondering if the finished documentary altered your perspective on your movie." And this is what Jack had to say. "Well, it's been a journey. During production, the idea of a gay subtext never came up. I never talked about it with people at New Line. I never had much time to work on the script. I don't think I even talked to the screenwriter, Dave Chaskin, about the script before we started filming. gonna pause right here to point out our first gay subtext thing. Couple dudes wrestling, and there's just a whole bunch of other dudes cheering them on. Not outwardly homosexual, but we got to get the party started somehow. All right, back to Jack. The script was the script. My job was to get it on film, make it look good, make it scary. It was an engineering kind of job. I wasn't going to question the blueprints. This is MC speaking. I feel like he's kind of stepping around it. It's kind of obvious at this point, but I don't know. Anyway, back to Jack. When the film opened, expectations were not very high. At the time, a sequel to a horror film was just a way to squeeze a little bit more money out of it. New Line never expected it to make more money than the first one, but it did. It was the #1 film that weekend. That is when the door opened for me and I went on to have a career. I was off to the next film and I didn't even think about it. But for Mark, the clock stopped after Elm Street. None of the critics said anything about a gay subtext. And then the Village Voice comes out and I get a call from the head of production at New Line, and she said, "You won't believe this review in the Village Voice. They call it the gayest horror film of all time." We had a laugh about that. I thought, okay, if that's the way you want to see it, fine. I mean, how else could you see it? Sorry, that's MC. That's my aside there. Back to Jack. After that, I never thought about it again until we had the 30th anniversary reunion. That's when I did the interviews for the documentary. Mark seemed obsessed with the idea that David Chaskin had written this gay subtext. And I was like, who cares? Get over it. I thought it was funny that this was the way the film was being interpreted. Okay, so we're going to leave Jack, and I'm going to do my side now. I feel that's a little cold to say stuff like, who cares? Obviously, it affected your main actor's life and his career, so I feel he should have a little more sympathy than he does, which is a shame. It's a shame that he's so cold about it. Have Cheetah Wolfview says, I want to talk about Atlantic Rim. Okay, pal, you do that. I have no interest in talking about that one. Jeez, that's funny. What a very random reference. Razor says, Alone in the Dark was fun. I agree, it was. Until people talked about it, I watched this movie for 30 years and never knew that the lead actor was gay. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to, for the movie to work. It's not really about it, but I personally saw the dude as pretty gay, but and that's kind of maybe one of the reasons I didn't like the movie. It's like, what a weird choice for a sequel to have this, final boy, essentially be a final girl. But it is what it is. Ragnar says, nor do I care. It's a good movie. I agree, man. I agree. I'm glad you're here, Patrick. Day's doing pretty great. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here, man. I hope you're well. All right. So he's about to have his first, well, technically his second Freddy dream. Maybe we'll come back to Jack's interview in a little bit. And let's talk a little bit about our star, Mark Patton. Now, according to IMDb, here is his mini bio. Mark Patton was raised in Riverside, Missouri, a suburb of Kansas City. His first interest started at the age of 8, and it was in gymnastics. By his high school years, he had excelled in Junior Olympics, but acting had also begun to interest him. Mark began studying in his high school drama department and soon found himself appearing in Emlyn Williams' Night Must Fall and John Guary's House of Blue Leaves for the Missouri Repertory Company. He also had an interest in country and western music, which his folks had always tried to discourage him to pursue. Those are good parents. After graduating high school, he flipped a coin to determine which it would be, New York or Nashville. It came up tails, and he was off to the Big Apple, where he landed weeks later with $132 in his pocket. He stayed at a Broadway hotel, was able to find work almost immediately. First as a waiter, and then, upon searching for an agent, work in advertisements and in off-Broadway productions. I mean, waiters, everybody's been a waiter. If you're an actor, most likely, that's a great jump scare. This is, of course, famous scene with Freddy and Jesse. And it's interesting that Freddy specifically treats Jesse, you know, in an intimate way, as opposed to Nancy. Nancy was just like, I'm just gonna fuck this bitch up. But you know, with Jesse, he's very much a gentle person. Love that. That creeped the shit out of me as a kid. I've got the brains. Oh, I love that. What a great scare that moment is. I love that so much. Such a great moment. My other favorite part is the parakeet. Oh, and the dog. But we'll get to that when they show up. Speaking of hot, this movie's supposed to be super, super hot. It's boiling here in Los Angeles. So if you hear the fan running, I apologize. I cannot live without some kind of air circulating, or I will melt. Much like his parakeet will. Or whatever the hell kind of bird it is. I don't know. Anywho, let's go back to Mark's mini bio. In 1982, he landed a role on Broadway opposite Cher, Sandy Dennis, Kathy Bates, and Karen Black, playing a gay character, Joe Quayle. The play, written by Ed Gratsky, that's a heck of a name, and directed by Robert Altman, was adapted into the film of the same title, Come Back to the Five and Dime Jimmy Dean. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's good, from 1982. This launched his Hollywood career. The following year, he starred in Anna to the Infinite Power, I don't know it, and appeared in a made-for-television movie titled Kelsey's Son, alongside the ultimate bad dude, Chuck Connors. Love that guy. 2 years later, he landed the role in the sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. Patton, who felt like an outsider and endured bullying at school, had been out about his homosexuality in New York, but Hollywood was different. It was a very homophobic world. After appearing in Nightmare 2, the public began to notice a gay subtext in the movie, which, according to the mini bio, the screenwriter purposefully included. At the time, he denied it, blaming Patton for playing it too gay. Wow. Back to the bottom. He had received a request from the gay magazine The Advocate after making Jimmy Dean, but was told he absolutely couldn't speak with a gay magazine, even though he had played a gay character. In 1987, he was cast to play a groundbreaking gay character on a major television network series, but was asked if he could play a gay character while telling people he was straight. Tired of the homophobia in Hollywood that was so different than the theater scene in New York, Patton left acting and became a successful interior decorator. Stuff gets a little harder for him. While battling what he thought was bronchitis, Patton underwent tests that revealed he was HIV positive, suffering from thrush, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. He was diagnosed on his 40th birthday and 3 days later was in the hospital. His health slowly improved and he moved to Mexico, where he met Hector Morales Mondragon, who would later become his husband. In 2010, Patton was approached to appear in Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy documentary. He learned that Nightmare 2 had become a cult classic among both fans and the LGBT community. Hold on, bikini time. Let me take a pause here to enjoy the lovely Kim Myers, who we'll be speaking about very shortly. Blue's a lovely color on a redhead. And green. Green, too. Anyway, Patton agreed to appear in the documentary and was finally able to be truthful about his sexuality. Screenwriter Chaskin finally admitted that he had included the gay subtext. So there you go. I mean, I don't know why he would friggin' deny it. I mean, unless he was afraid his career would tank, which is a possibility. Since that time, he is lauded as the first male scream queen, which is a great... Oh, this is a great scene. We should just watch him do his stupid dance. I mean, well, I mean, come on. The first time you watch this scene, you're like, Jesus Christ, dude. What is happening here? There's no way they shot this, and no one thought this is kind of gay, right? You know, it is what it is. Anyway, Mark has gone to accept his status. I love this scene. Let's just watch him. Let's just watch this fucking cleaning up the room scene. I mean, I guess he thought he was super cool at doing it, and like the glasses too. I mean, come on. I guess we've all danced in our room, but I've never danced with my butt. I mean, maybe am I in the minority? I feel like maybe I am, but oh, come on. Oh, and then the girl pops in and you're like, uh-oh. Hi. Yeah, no, I wasn't. You know that shirt? Somebody's selling that shirt, the yellow shirt with the checks. Oh, Ragnar brings up a good point. There's gonna be a female Pinhead coming up, and maybe if they go down the line with another with a Freddy spin-off, remake, requel, whatever you want to call it, they may do it. But that's not gonna be good. That's not gonna be good. Okay, here we go. So that's Mark. Mark's career, like I said, took a kind of a hit. Because of Freddy, which is unfortunate. He appeared in a whole bunch of things afterwards. His last real credit was a movie titled Misplaced. He plays a roughneck. Sure, okay. That's in 1989. Then he takes a big break, and then he comes back into into the public consciousness as a performer in 2016 with the film Family Possessions. He's also in the film Amityville Clown House, which I gotta be honest, I missed. I did not see that one. He's got a ton of films in pre-production, and it's nice to see him back in the game and having weathered the storm, because it's tough. It's tough to have your career gutted. You think you're on the rise, you're in a big, successful movie, and then all of a sudden, it's the death of your career. That happened with Fred Decker, the director of Monster Squad. You know, Monster Squad was a passion project. It tanked, killed his career. I mean, you could argue RoboCop 3 killed his career, but you know, it's a bummer when you love something so much and it doesn't work out, like Monster Squad, which a huge cult classic. But anyway, we're not talking Monster Squad. We will, though. We would. I'm adding that to the watch along. I love that movie very, very much. Okay, so since we have Kim here, let's talk about Kim, the lovely Kim Myers, who I am. Joel says, "Is there a hot snake in Nightmare 2? There's a snake. There's a snake, and it's not a Western, so it kind of breaks my rules. So, yeah, I'll allow it, though. There technically is a snake, but I wouldn't consider it a hot one. The lovely Kim Myers is still acting to this day. Her last credit, according to IMDb, is from 2020. There's a film called 5,000 Blankets. Sounds like a winner. And that's completed, but undated as to when it will be released. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is her first movie. She plays the lovely Lisa Weber. What a way to get into the business, huh? To appear in such an iconic movie. Tons of TV work would follow, and a ton of TV shows. L.A. Law, Key West. Vaguely remember that, only because I lived in Florida. The Pretender, which was a bigger show. She was only in about 8 episodes of that when she played Jared's mother. And then a spin-off movie, which I didn't know existed. The Pretender Island of the Haunted. That's interesting. That was a weird show, but successful enough. She was in a TV show that I've never heard of called 10,000 Days from 2010. She was in 11 episodes of that, so I'm guessing it was successful. I don't know. And then there was a 10,000 Days movie. She plays the same character, so I'm guessing they edited the show down. It might have been a web series. Hard to tell, but she's still out there, and as far as I know, she does conventions. I haven't met her at a convention yet, but she's still in it to win it. And she's a lovely addition to this movie. I also love the cinematography for this movie, and I think they do a really good job of balancing the dark and the light, which is necessary for something like this. When we get to the boiler room stuff at the end, I really love the colors in that scene, so kudos, absolutely. And hey, Patrick enjoys The Pretender, yeah, it's I agree. Fruit Wobbler says Scream King was awesome, but what a coward Shoulder was. I agree. What a little puss. It's unfortunate. We'll hear more from him as he tries to backpedal on that. Let's read Kim's biography here. Kim Myers was born on 15th of February 1966 in Los Angeles. She got her first major role in Nightmare 2. Then Kim made a movie called Letters from a Killer with the late great Patrick Swayze. Maybe we'll do some Patrick Swayze movies. We'll have to do that. From 1998. I don't know that one. Or maybe I do. I had to look at the cover. Maybe it's something I've seen. In 1989, Kim had her first TV role in a series called Studio 5B as Samantha Hurley. Then in 1993, she was in Key West. In 1993, as Dr. Riley Clark. Later, she got a recurring role in The Pretender. Also, she had notable TV guest appearances in Walker, Texas Ranger. Hell yeah. And 6 Feet Under. To be honest, I think I've only seen one episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. It doesn't really do anything for me. Walt says Robert Rusler's in this was great as a leader of the Draggers in Thrashin'. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Thrashin'. Robert Rusler is really good. I do like him a lot. He's a solid actor and he's a really nice guy too. Stand in Silence says, imagine Freddy versus Freddie Mercury. Why not? Why not? Let's imagine that and let that live in our memories. This movie, in my opinion, has a really weird script, and that's, of course, due to the writer, David Chaskin, who, as I said previously, admitted that he had written gay subtext into the movie. Let's talk about him real briefly. David Chaskin really only has 6 writing credits. I have more than him, but I'd never made a Nightmare on Elm Street, so none of my movies are as big as that. But so I'm not throwing any stones at his little glass house there. Nightmare is the first one, followed by The Curse, which is kind of an infamous movie. I like it. It's not great, but it is what it is. It's the Will Wheaton one. You know it. You maybe love it. I, Madman is another one, very interesting film. I really enjoyed that. He wrote an episode of Monsters, the TV series, which I love. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a DVD. Oh, look here, some more naked guys on screen for you guys. There's a DVD set of the entire Monster series at Walmart. I might be mistaken about that, but I love that show back in the day. Great anthology, really fun, really family friendly, which I really, really like. Oh, Sean says he was in an episode of Walker as a kid. Hell yeah! Well, congratulations. That's amazing. Ragnar says, I don't know how you can blame a hit horror movie on somebody's career ending. It's usually self-inflicted. I'm not blaming it. It's from Mark's words. He said the movie killed his career. I didn't say anything. I'm saying, relaying what his thoughts were. Let's continue with David Chaskin. After that, he wrote a TV movie called Midnight's Child. I'm not familiar with it. And then in 2000, he wrote a movie called Love Hurts, which I'm not familiar with at all. And it may be one of those that just got, swallowed up by time. As a matter of fact, their IMDb page is completely empty. It only lists writer and director Gary Senior. Looks like it's a UK film. Who knows if it ever came out? And who cares? To be completely honest, David Chaskin, his career didn't really expand. I think mainly because, from what I've seen of him, he's kind of a jerk. And but of course I don't know him personally, so I can't necessarily say that. Allegedly, is the impression I get, and the fact that he kind of threw Mark under the bus by saying that he played the part too gay. That's not cool, man. That's you're making a movie. It's a team effort. Unless you get royally fucked by your producers and people, don't throw your fucking cast under the bus. That's rule number 1. That is rule number 1. Alrighty, that's David Chaskin. I do love that. Poor fucking bird. Oh, I mean, that's breaking the rules right there, because that's not a nightmare. Everybody saw that happen. So, again, destabilizing what we know of Freddy and what we know of the rules of Freddy. Nancy did a lot to establish that. And David Chaskin decides to go shit all over it. That's alright. It's alright. It is what it is. Patrick says, the Octagon was pretty good. It's an early Chuck Norris. Octagon is great. Now out on Kino Blu-ray. Good old Clue. You know what? Let's talk about Clue. We're done with you, David Chaskin. Let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the late, great Clue Gulager here on screen. Love Clue Gulager. Really nice guy. I was fortunate enough to meet him a couple times at this local movie theater where he would go, I'm not kidding, every night, until he got, too old to attend, but he would. There's a famous red door. Love it. He would walk there. I guess he lived nearby, and he would just walk every night to watch whatever double feature. He would always be there in the front row. Very approachable guy, really nice guy, and he will be missed. He will be missed. My friend got to work with him. My friend, an actor, a friend of mine, got to work with him. I never got to work with him, which I regret, but well, he lives on in infamy, not just in this movie, but in many others. He started his career. Look at that shit. Lightning? Freddy's all over the place with this, man. He went Super Saiyan on us here. Started his career in 1955. We're talking about Clue, of course. With a segment in the TV series Omnibus, which has been lost to time. From what I understand, it's been lost to time. He was in an ass ton of TV series after TV series. Through the 50s into the 60s, a ton of TV series. He was in the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. He was actually in 2 episodes of that one. The Untouchables, The Tall Man. Actually, he was in a lot of it. Oh yeah, he was in every episode of The Tall Man. He was Billy the fucking Kid. So yeah, The Virginian. Did a lot of westerns, and then I think his first movie was The Last Picture Show. I might be mistaken on that. But I'm pretty sure his first movie. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Winning from 1969. Actually, no, it goes further back than that. Skipping ahead a little bit. I'm sorry, Clue. I don't want to take anything away from you. He is in The Last Picture Show. He's really good in that. But it looks like his first movie was 1964, The Killers, which is a great movie. Don Siegel, written by Gene Kuhn, based on a story by Ernest Hemingway, Angie Dickinson, Lee Marvin, John Cassavetes. Hell yeah, he's really good in this. He's a mob hitman, I think. Really good shit. He's in the color version. There's a black and white version. He's in the color version of that. Great stuff. Moving on. Let's see. I'm just scanning through his IMDb. Of course, he's in The Last Picture Show. He's really good in that, sort of a cameo, really. The start of his cameos, tons of TVs. He's in McHugh, which, say what you will, is kind of a very, very interesting John Wayne movie. I mean, he's got like a fucking Uzi, directed by John Sturges. I gotta rewatch that. I remember really liking that movie. He was in the Shaft TV series, very briefly, 1 episode. McCloud, Cannon. Basically, he did it all. Hawaii Five-0. I mean, this dude did it all. He was sort of brought back into the limelight thanks to his son, John Gulager, because he appeared in the film Feast, and that sort of, reinvigorated his career. Not that it needed to be reinvigorated, but, it helps. He was a acting coach for a while. That's actually how my friend got to work with him. He was an acting coach for quite a bit. I don't know if he did it until his death, but he was there. He was doing it, man. He did Feast, Feast 2, which is terrible, and Feast 3, which is probably even worse. Piranha 3, Double D, of course, that's another John Gulager movie. And his last credit was fairly recently, 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bookstore Man. He didn't even get a credit, like a name. He was just Bookstore Man. So that is what it is. That's Clue Gulager. The one, the only Clue Gulager. For those of you who are joining in late, we are watching Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. But I am giving you the backstory and the cast and crew. Clue has a huge life. His biography is thick as hell. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give you the cliff notes. Clue was born William Martin Gallagher in Holdenville, Hughes County, Oklahoma. His nickname was given to him by his father for the Clue birds. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Known in English as Martins, like his middle name, that were nesting at the Gallagher house at the time Clue was born. See, I thought Clue was short for something, but it really is just Clue. That's interesting. He grew up on his uncle's ranch as a cowhand, and when he was old enough, he joined the United States Marine Corps for a stint from 1946 to 1948. He got the acting bug being in Army plays, so when he left, he used the GI Bill of Rights to study acting. During that time, he met his wife, actress Miriam Byrd Nethery. They wed in 1952 and had 2 children, John, born 1957, and Tom, born 1965. The couple was married for more than 50 years until her death in 2003 from cancer. That's a shame. He was married to the same woman for such a long time. I love that. I love that loyalty. That's beautiful. You never see that in Hollywood nowadays. Clue's a good guy. Clue is a good guy. I love it. Of course, I mean, this is the gay. Look at that. How can the, slapping the naked ass of a man in the shower not be seen as, trying to say something about where Mark's head is at, or I should say Jesse's head is at, the character's head is at. I like that. I think that's it's interesting. It's so obvious at this point. It's so freaking obvious. No, yeah, sorry. I mean, Freddy might as well shove the claws up his hoo-ha. Let's talk about this actor since we've just seen his bare ass before we have no need to talk to him. Clue will bid you adieu. Thank you, Clue. Rest in peace. That is Marshall Bell. I love that shot. Oh my God, the scream! Oh my God, that scream is. Oh Lord, that scream was a bit much. I mean, not knowing anything, that scream should tell you everything you need to know. Gosh, okay, so that was Marshall Bell that we just saw. Slapped bloody by Freddy. Marshall Bell has a huge career. He's one of those guys. Yeah, you look at him like, I know him. I've seen him in something. Well, most likely you have. He's been in a ton of shit. But Nightmare was his second movie, so he was fairly new to the scene. His first movie was Birdie in 1984. I haven't seen it. It's an Alan Parker film. I hear good things, but Nicolas Cage and Matthew Modine, I'm sure it's fine. I haven't seen it. But that was his first film. Second film, this one, Nightmare on Elm Street. Then he goes on to appear in a ton of stuff as either uncredited or supporting cast or, background guy. That's how these guys develop, like Clue, develop their reputation. So at the time of making this movie, he was kind of a nobody, but he's gone on to be a very recognizable face. When you watch the movie again, you're like, oh, I've seen that guy. But in terms of you've seen him after the fact. He was in Legal Eagles, which I really like. That's a movie that deserves an MVD rewind or something. I really like that movie. Stand By Me, Manhunter, No Way Out, Cherry 2000, which is a really fun movie. Johnny Be Good, Tucker, The Man in His Dreams. He's in Twins. He's in a lot of stuff. I think his biggest role, and the one that I think people would know him from the most, is he's in Total Recall. He's, Quado's brother, basically. I'm not going to spoil Total Recall for those of you who haven't seen it, but he's in Total Recall, and let's just say he's real close with Quado. Fantastic, unbelievable sequence, memorable, super memorable. He goes on to be in Dick Tracy, Air America, which is another sort of forgotten movie. He's been in a lot of forgotten movies. Diggstown, I love Diggstown. Oscar, Undercover Blues, which was actually an MVD rewind. He was in an episode of X-Files. He was in The Puppet Masters, which I love. That's another great science fiction film with Donald Sutherland. Fantastic goddamn movie that doesn't get enough credit. Really, really, really good movie. Operation Dumbo Drop, everybody's favorite movie. He was in an episode of Millennium, which I know that's Brother Chaos's favorite TV show, Millennium. I don't know if you guys have seen Millennium, but, BC loves it. He was also in an episode of Pretender, so we have another connection with the Pretender series. There you go. For better or worse, he was play a sound guy in the Larry Sanders Show, which is great. That needs to come out. I'd love to rewatch that. He was in another great show called Good vs. Evil, which ran from 1999 to 2000. If you haven't seen that show, I do highly recommend it. Played Ford Plasko. Really fun. I really like that show. I really wish there was more of it. Oh well. He's in a couple episodes of Deadwood, a great TV show. I mean, absolute masterpiece, dare I say. He's still in the game. His most recent credit is from this year, 2002, a film titled All Terrain. It's in post-production with a new film called Hate Crimes in pre-production. So he's still there, and he's still playing the game. So more power to you, Marshall. I maybe one day we will work together. Joel Wood says Larry Sanders Show is one of my favorites, but yeah, I gotta go. Surgery is the new sex. Absolutely. Joel's going in for a procedure tomorrow. Joel, good luck. Hope to see you on the other side. Walt says, you think they would have dubbed over that scream? You think they would have. But, they didn't. They decided not to. They decided not to for some reason. All right. We discussed Marshall Bell. I don't think we need to go into his IMDb any further than that. We should talk about Mom, I guess, because Mom's on screen right now. And you know what? And I think they cast her to type. If you think about it, she would be kind of an older lady. To fit Clue. I think they really fucking cast it pretty well, in my opinion. She's had a huge friggin' career here. Let me pull her up, and we'll talk all about Mama. Only credited as Mrs. Walsh. That's fine. Hey, you're in the movie. Doesn't matter. Her career started pretty much around the time as Clue's in 1956 with a Kraft Theater episode titled Randy. And then she went on to be in Bus Stop, which, is my probably least favorite Marilyn Monroe movie. I think it's actually pretty goddamn stupid. My favorite is Some Like It Hot, and my second favorite is Niagara. Yeah, whatever. Niagara one is really good. That's fucking good. Those are my two favorite. But Bus Stop is my least favorite. But anyway, she got to be in a movie with Marilyn. Then she was in all the episodes. Actually, she was Mrs. Muir in the Ghost of Mrs. Muir TV series. I love the movie. You've never seen the show. She was Jenny Preston in the new Dick Van Dyke Show that ran from 1971 to 1974. Again, tons of TV work, tons of TV movies. That's where the work was. 1985, she graces movie screens. I mean, not for her first time, but, after, stint of TV movies as Mrs. Walsh. She's in friggin' Blue Velvet. Wow. Okay, so that's pretty great. I didn't know that. That's huge. So, don't worry. Freddy's Revenge is not the highlight of her career. Now, I believe, don't quote me, yes, she's passed away, sadly, in Santa Monica at the age of 70, December 19th, 2003 is when we last saw her, and her last credit is the TV movie Before He Awakes. She played Helen Rollins. However, here on IMDb it says in 2014 she appeared in Blue Velvet Lost Footage, so they had some extra footage for her, and they put her, I guess, revived her, for lack of a better word. Now, she's in one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies. I don't know if anyone else likes this movie, but she's in Clear and Present Danger, which is fantastic. I love that movie, and I love that book. She is, I think that's probably her last big, I think there's that. She's also in Death Wish. I mean, let's talk about that. She is Paul Kersey's wife. Yeah, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. So, but to me, her last big role was Clear and Present Danger. She plays a senator in that movie. Small little part, but what a great career. Blue Velvet, Clear and Present Danger, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and Death Wish, which, it really depends on what you think. I think Part 2 is better than Part 1, but that's a discussion for another time. Let's move on here. Look at this crazy little... What's in here? What's in that closet, Jesse? Open it up with your freaky eyes. Comb your hair, by the way. Why is your hair all crazy? Look at the slashes on it. Do you see the slashes? Hold me, Kim. I must open this. I'm a big fan of redheads. I love gingers. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm a ginger fan. Very much so. I do love me some redheads. There's something about them that just speak to me. Speak to my blood. Get my blood boiling. There's the got some fire going, and we'll talk about Robert Rusler when he's back on screen. We haven't seen him in a bit, so we'll come back to him when we can. Let's continue with the Jack Shoulder interview where he tries to cover up the fact that I don't know what's going on. What's happening? All right, Jack. Let's see what do you have to say for yourself? So the question, and this, of course, let me reference again where I'm getting this from. This is from flashbackfiles.com. This is an interview with Roel Hannon, and I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. The question is, but what was the movie about in your view? I mean, he's really digging in here. Like, come on, bro. And this is what Jack has to say. You know what? I think we see fucking Jesse shirtless more often than any... What happened? Oh, shit. There we go. I thought I disappeared for a minute. Okay, no, I'm good. Yeah, Patrick agrees. Redheads are sexy. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are, man. Why can't I do both? What's happening here? My screen went crazy on me. Okay. Sorry about that. We have a little technical glitch going on, but we'll solve it. We will. We'll find a way to solve it. And I don't know why I did that, but I can't watch the movie now. Okay. Let's do this. Alright. Let's continue with the interview. This is what Jack has to say about what he thought the movie was about. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Jack says, for me, the movie was about repressed sexual angst that every teenager experiences. And yes, that angst can express itself in the question, am I gay? Boys will call each other sissy or faggot. Those are his words, by the way. Now, if you are in fact gay, that is terrible to hear. Back then, being gay was a scary thing. My gay friends tell me that they used to think they were going to hell. It was extremely traumatic, so I was aware of that context. And yes, we did film a scene in a leather bar. I was living in the West Village at the time, which was the gay part of New York. Right after I moved to New York, there was Stonewall. Gay life was out in the open, out on the street. I would see gay guys hanging outside clubs, smelling amyl nitrate. A lot of sex going on. That was part of where I lived. Of course, I had no profound understanding of what was going on. I just saw what was on the surface. And that was part of what's in the film. Of course, AIDS had just come onto the scene and had changed everything. That was in the air at the time. And the fact that Mark was gay, maybe I should have guessed, but maybe I wanted a good-looking guy who could project vulnerability. In the first movie, they had Johnny Depp, whose features are almost feminine, very pretty. All the girls at New Line thought Mark was just as hot, so it never occurred to me he could be gay. And of course, he was in the closet. He was trying not to come across as gay. During filming, we had no personal relationship whatsoever. We had a good working relationship, very professional, but we never had lunch or dinner. He was in kind of a sour mood. And by the way, he had read the script, and even he didn't pick up on a gay subtext. It was one of the crew members who pointed it out to him. That's interesting. And I don't know how much, we can take at his word, but it is what it is. The question comes, so the crew was aware? Jack responds, yeah, people in the art department picked up on it. When Mark opens the closet in the movie, there's a game called Probe. Somebody in the art department put it there as a joke. Looking back on it, there were a whole bunch of decisions, starting with casting Mark, that really, if you look at some of the exegesis as to why it's the gayest horror film of all time, some of it is people reading stuff into things. Some of it was intentional, and some of it was stuff that people added that fed into the idea. So, I mean, if he's saying stuff was intentional, how could he say it wasn't, you know? Very strange. The question is, how do you look back on it now? And Jack responds, well, it's interesting. One of the actresses in the film asked me if her daughter, who was taking a course on horror films at UCLA, could interview me about Nightmare 2. We talked about a bunch of things. She sent me her paper last night, and there was a lot of interesting things in there. For instance, she notes that the use of the color red symbolizes Jesse's personal hell. Well, actually, we were very conscious of the fact that the color red symbolizes Freddy, because whenever he's around, everything heats up. So when you think of heat, you think of the color red. So heat and red represent Freddy. Now, if you want to say that Freddy represents Jesse's repressed sexuality, then yes, you can make that jump from red to Freddy to repressed sexuality. But I didn't consciously make that jump when I made the film. She also pointed to the poster where Jesse is looking at himself in the mirror and sees this other side of him that's frightening him. All of this makes sense. When I was teaching, I would say, the director is a detective, and the script is the scene of the crime. When someone has been murdered, the body is obvious. That is the plot. But then you start looking around. You find a hair under the rug. What does that mean? Every word in the script has a meaning. You have to pay attention. The job of the director is to connect all these things to a coherent, into a coherent story. And it's always subject to more than one interpretation. Lastly, this is the last bit that we'll hear from Jack. The question is, did your students often ask about Nightmare? And Jack responds, rarely. I think it was almost off limits for them to ask me about my career. I wonder why that was. Maybe because he had such a sour attitude about it. I don't know. I don't know. Now, for some reason, these won't communicate. I have the film playing on Safari, and the rest of the stuff playing. Oh, the party! We're gonna get to the party. Let's look at this Bikini City. Why are you wearing a sweater? Take the sweater off. Completely ridiculous, girl in a sweater. This is a great scene. You know, probably one of the biggest scenes in the whole franchise in terms of like people meeting Freddy. It's not usually it's one-on-one with Freddy, but this is the first time that, you know, Freddy is gonna go fuck some shit up, which is amazing. Freddy should fuck some shit up. Okay, I have a little interview here by Mark Patton, so maybe we should hear from Mark all about his interpretation of the movie. I've been talking about him and what he said in the past, but now let's hear from him. This is from a online source titled Little White Lies. This is an interview by Thomas Hobbs. Thomas Hobbs. Let's do it. There's Freddy. Oh man, Freddy's gonna kick some ass. Sorry, bikini ladies. Let's call it a night, bikini ladies. Alright, so this is what Mark has to say. These are quotes from him. Mark says, I saw so many of my friends dying of AIDS. I just didn't want to keep on subjecting myself to the pain of Hollywood. To be a gay actor then was to either hide who you were or just play a complete gay stereotype. So I quit, as I didn't want to be in a cage. My experience on Nightmare 2 just reinforced to me how Hollywood was disgusted by gay people. Take this back a little bit here. And this is more from Mark. I had just come off playing a trans person in Robert Altman's film Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean. So I wasn't afraid to play a gay character. But I would have liked, as a gay character, to have some license in what was happening. I just had to do my best with the problematic material. This was at a time where women didn't want men to be weak. But I knew I at least wanted Jesse to have a fragile scream when he does. That's my addition. Sorry. Back to him. If I was going to do this movie, then it was important to at least show a different kind of masculinity. And I think that's saying the least of it. He absolutely is showing that. With the advent of the internet, the film gained a reputation as one of the gayest horrors of the 1980s, and Patton could only watch on as he became a punchline and a victim of abuse online. Eventually, he found the courage to reclaim the narrative, and this is from Mark. They wanted Jesse's gayness to make the audience feel sick to their stomach. Remember that his gay sensibilities were edited so the audience would laugh, but I became a kind of scapegoat. It was important to change that perception. I went on the road to horror conventions and showed people how Jesse could actually be a powerful tool to empower young people. Hundreds of people tell me they saw Jesse standing up to Freddy and screaming effeminately back when they were a confused child, and it made them feel empowered by their own sexuality. Those kind of stories make my day. He goes on to say, there were no openly gay actors, no gay anything. If you were gay, you'd be fired. The word faggot was used openly in pop culture. If there was a gay casting director, they wouldn't even cast me for fear of being associated with somebody who was gay and subsequently being found out. It was scary. I didn't obviously wasn't around at the time or lived back then in Hollywood, but from what I understand, it was a very, very difficult time to get hired, just because people were scared that, I don't know, if you were in a movie with a gay actor, you would get AIDS. I mean, it's crazy. It's craziness. Here he talks about the documentary. Mark says, the documentary only really uses, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 as a backdrop. The real story is what I went through and how I managed to come out of it stronger. Its purpose is to show what gay actors had to put up with back in 1985. My mission is for young gay men to see what I experienced and learn from it so it never happens again. I want to armor them up. That's great. I think that's really cool, really powerful, and this is what he has to say about Jesse, and how he sort of embraced Jesse as a gay icon. He says, "Oh, absolutely, he's a survivor. The LGBT community must have made him into one. You can't deny it. He's still here, and we're talking about him 35 years later. He shows how young gay kids can overcome obstacles. Because of this documentary, I finally feel good about playing him again." I love it. I love that very much. It's pretty powerful to have something that break you down, career-wise. To have something that breaks you absolutely down, and then gain power from it, gain strength from it. What they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now, we're not going to talk about Freddy because we talked about Robert Englund in the last one. I love this effect. All the effects in here are fucking insane. That looks so good. I love it. There's Robert Rusler, of course, as his pseudo best friend. Gosh, the effects in this are bonkers. Love it. Let's talk about Robert. We haven't talked about Robert then since he's here. Let's see if we can get him on board with us here. Robert Rusler's had a big career, and we got to see a lot more of Robert than I think most of us maybe have wanted in this movie, but it is what it is. Robert Rusler, let's discuss. Really nice guy. Started his career in 1985. He's, of course, in the film Weird Science with Robert Downey Jr. That's sort of his buddy there. In 1985, his real first appearance was in an episode of The Facts of Life. But his first movie was Weird Science. Second movie, this, where you can fucking watch Freddy come out of a dude. That is amazing. Amazing. Now, Stand in Silence brings up Le Male poster on the wall. I don't know Le Male. I'm not familiar with that band or singer. Le Male. I thought that was just made up for the movie. And we'll talk about Lyman Ward, of course, Robert Rusler's dad in this. Sorry, Ron, you ain't gonna make it. We'll talk about Lyman Ward in a minute. That's Daddy. So anyway, Robert Rusler, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Dangerously Close, Vamp. He's amazing in Vamp. If you haven't seen Vamp, fucking go see it. One of the best vampire movies ever made. He's in the Outsiders TV series. He's in Babylon 5, which was a huge show back in the day. Murder, She Wrote. He did a I don't know if it's a voice, but he was in the Wing Commander 4 video game, so he did some video game work, which is interesting. The Dragnet TV series. He was in an episode of 24. I love that. It's season 5. I love that show. Later seasons, not so much, but whatever. It's fine. He's steadily working, and as far as I know, he's still working to this day. His latest credit is from 2022 as a movie titled Wildfire: The Legend of the Cherokee Ghost Horse. That's in post-production, with a film in pre-production titled The Legend of Belle Starr. So it looks like he's doing some kind of, I don't know, Hallmark ghost story, not ghost stories, Hallmark cowboy movies, westerns. I don't know. They're not specifically for me, but hey, you might enjoy it if you find it somewhere for purchase. His last big TV appearance was in Ray Donovan. He was in 3 episodes of that. It's a show I've never seen, but I do appreciate the cast in that. Liev Schreiber is amazing. That's Robert Rusler, as somebody who I know does conventions all the time, and he's a big fan of. He's also in Sometimes They Come Back, which is another really solid movie, Stephen King adaptation there. He appreciates the fans. He does conventions, and someone who I know has embraced fandom. Let's talk about Daddy, who we saw there briefly, Lyman Ward. Stand Silence says Limahl is the guy who sang the song for Neverending Story. Oh shit! There you go. Absolutely. Don Harrison says he loves Robert. Yeah, he's a very nice guy. The Marvel Comics character Longshot was drawn in Limahl's, am I saying that right? Limahl's likeness. Interesting. I don't even know that character. Longshot? Who knows? Maybe he'll show up in a movie someday. Of course he's scared. Look at him. He's very scared. Yeah, he's inside me and he wants to take me. I mean, come on. I love it. I love this movie. Anyway. It's happening. And somebody is inside him and wants to take him. Anyway, let's talk about Ron's dad, Lyman Ward. Saw him briefly there. Another huge character actor. Someone that is very recognizable. Started his career in 1971. He was in Coffy, for Christ's sake. The Coffy, Coffy, starring the one, the only Pam Grier. What a movie. Directed by Jack Hill. Yeah, man. What? That's insane. It's awesome. He was in an episode of Laverne and Shirley, episode of Police Story, episode of Alice, episode of Battlestar Galactica. He was in The Happy Hooker Goes Hollywood, which I haven't seen, but I hear is kind of fun. Although somebody said there wasn't much nudity in that. I don't know. I had to check that. With a title like that, how could you not? Anyway, he'd made the rounds mostly on TV. He's in Creature, by the way, a Vinegar Syndrome release. And then that same year, 1985, when Creature came out, 85 was a big year for him. He was in a ton of shit. Dallas, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Night Court. Then you get Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. He's Mr. Grady. Then, of course, he'd go on to play Ferris's dad in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So, I mean, that's what you make your mark on, right? I mean, that's the movie. That is the movie. Tons of other stuff followed. I'm not going to bore you with all the little details here, but he's in a ton of stuff. Taking of Beverly Hills, a great movie. I love that movie. He was in an episode of Wonder Years. He was in the Beverly Hillbillies movie, which sadly was the last time we got to see. And I hate to say this, but this is the last time we got to see Jim Varney. That was his last movie. Not an Ernest movie. Beverly Hillbillies. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm pretty sure that was his last movie. Anyway, yeah. Rest in peace. Jim, wherever you are, thank you for all the laughs. You rock, man. Tons of stuff. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, of course. Everybody had to appear in that. Jag. And his most recent credit is from this year, 2022. In the Forest. No idea if that's out yet or not. But it doesn't have a pre-production or a post-production credit. But, it's out already. You can watch it on Tubi, In the Forest. It's an hour and 23 minutes. So if you're curious to see what Lyman Ward has been up to, that's his most recent film. Of course, he's in Independence Day. Rumor has it, with Kevin... oh my god, why am I blanking on his fucking dude's name? Costner. Kevin Costner, Jennifer Aniston. Not a great movie, but, one of those forgotten ones. But it's well known. Not another teen movie. He's in that. And Ferris is dead. Amazing. That's Lyman Ward, everybody. Lyman Ward. Freddy's kicking ass. Freddy's kicking ass and taking names here. And he doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care what you think. And he's gonna attack the lovely Kim, which is a shame. Because she's so lovely. She's so lovely. Speaking of Freddy... We do have some thoughts from Robert Englund about this. Let's enjoy the hot tub sequence here. Yeah, Freddy hates plates. Eat that, plates. Oh man, would it be funny if like a butcher knife actually killed Freddy? That'd be kind of insane. Hellbound comments, "This is awesome. Thanks for doing this." Thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. Stand says, "I'm secure enough in my homosexuality to admit I actually like... Your heterosexuality to admit that you like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 a lot." Glad to hear it. I don't like it because I think it's a crap sequel that ruins the rules. Not because it's, overly leaning in one direction. Oh, Viva with some facts. Jim Varney's last movie was much later. He did a few more Ernest movies. A Jeff Speakman movie called The Expert. Is that true? I'll have to look that up. I believe you. I'm going to double check that. I thought it was the thing. You may be correct. You may be correct. Matthew comments, "This rumored to be the gay Freddy Krueger movie." Yeah, not rumored. It's out in the open now. It is what it is. It's completely out in the open as to what it is. Let me look up Jim Varney real quick. A doodle do here. I miss Jim Varney, man. What a guy. What a guy. And I actually I don't know if you guys know this off topic, but they're making a documentary called The Importance of Being Earnest, and I helped on the Kickstarter of that. I'm looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. It's all about everybody's okay, but you're not. Look at that lady's hair. Amazing. Let's see. I'll tell you what his last movie is right now, even though we're not really talking about him. Looks like he was a voice in the Atlantis, The Lost Empire video game. Oh! Freddy's in the real world, bitch. Again, this is from memory, because it's mostly a one-on-one. The only time it's a group that Freddy's fucking up. So I love this scene. I think this scene is great. Because his powers go hog wild. But then again, it breaks the rules. Like, if he can have powers outside the real world, then the first one didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So I'm a stickler to canon, and I feel this movie breaks canon. That's what really pisses me off. Okay, so correction. That was not his last movie. I take that back. Apologize. He was in a ton of Ernest movies. He was even in Three Ninjas, High Noon, and Mega Mountain, which I know I'm in the minority, but I actually like that movie quite a bit. Of course, he's the voice of Slinky Dog up until Toy Story 2. He's in Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Daddy and Them. I don't know that movie from 2001, but his last credit is 2001. And he was the voice of the Cookie character from Atlantis for the video game. So I do take that back. He did absolutely not end his career with that movie. We need to have a countdown saying Freddy saying "bitch" countdown. I agree, Matthew. Maybe we will. It's a little too late to go back. I love that shot. Love it. And here he says it. Yeah. You're all my children now, bitch. You know what? A shotgun should kill him, right? Nancy told us that it would. It's a bummer. Stand in silence agrees. I agree on its breaking established rules and all that. I mostly like it for the strong 80s feel, cinematography, and outrageousness. The cinematography is great. I've spoken about that, and I love the effects. It has amazing effects. But then again, the entire series does. Like, this is such a simple effect, him walking through the hedges, and he turns into fire. Easy, but it looks so good. It looks so good. Spooky Guy says, have I seen Orphan 2? I did. I actually really loved it, but we'll try and stay on topic with Frederick Krueger, Esquire. I love that she's now the final girl. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a totally like a Ripley situation where like she was in the background and now she is the driving force of the movie. If it wasn't for her, Jesse would be fucked. Spoiler alert. And I like that. I mean, we've been following Jesse. Jesse's given up at this point. You know, he's accepted the darkness, as it were. Yeah, it's a badass. Take care of your wounds. I love it. And this is one of my favorite effects up here. This creeped the shit out of me the first time I saw it because it was so unique. Look at this thing. What the hell? Face dogs? Come on. And they're like baby face dogs. Oh my god. What? I mean, I guess they can't really bite you because they have little mouths. And do they, I guess they have little teeth. That's great. What a cool little detail. I really like that. I really, really like that. Since we're coming up to our technically cliffhanger finale for part 2 here, let's hear from Freddy himself as he talks about the second one, specifically the second one. What a great location too, Jesus. All right, so this interview comes from Yahoo.com. It is an interview with Kevin Palawi, something like that. He's a senior correspondent, and this is what Robert says. Part 2 has a real interesting bisexual psychological thing going for it. We didn't hit it over the head with a nail, but it was certainly there. It's not completely unlike the volleyball game in Top Gun. Part of it is just there for window dressing, but part of it's really there. And then he continues on to say, it's like Freddy is manipulating some latency between the boys. It's like Freddy's wise to it and playing with it. It manifests too. Freddy literally comes out of Mark Patton, which is true. I mean, I think that's that's another element to it. There's a literal coming out. Oh, that's one of my biggest fears. Bugs in a wound? Oh, no. Ugh. Oh, yeah, no. Disgusting. Not for me. Matthew says, welcome to primetime, bitch. Indeed. Kim's about to face off with Frederick Krueger, the child molester. And we get no real, Freddy in this. This is really all Jesse's. I mean, we get Freddy, but I mean, in terms of like his backstory, developing his backstory a little bit more, which they touch on in the third movie a lot. Oh, look at that rat. Fuck that rat. Look at that cat. Fuck that cat. Jesus. It's the Uncanny. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. The Uncanny is crazy. Crazy stupid, but crazy fun at the same time. This whole movie is a Jesse movie. This is Jesse's movie. From top to tails, you know, Freddy is, if anything, a catalyst to his awakening, which I think is another reason I didn't like the movie as much. I think with Nancy had her friends and she was trying to defeat this thing. The whole time, Jesse's just having nightmares and trying to cope with what's happening, and there is no final boy moment, really. And that's why Kim Myers' character has to step up and, you know, throw down as it were. Yeah, again, and it's something that is never, ever been touched on again. That Freddy can possess somebody. That Freddy can possess somebody and move on, you know, body to body. It's never happened before. It's never happened, you know, since. I mean, you would think after he fell into Nancy at the end of the first one, if that was going to be a thing, maybe they would carry it on. But she didn't get possessed. She technically just kept having nightmares. I mean, because we see her again in part 3, spoiler alert. But by now you should know that. So I find that very interesting that they add this possession element to the movie. I don't like it. It changes it up too much. And then Freddy gets all weak here. He's in there, and I want him back. And that's, I mean, Lisa's trying her best. We gotta give her that much credit. She's trying her best. She's trying her best. It's almost as if this wasn't even really Freddy, because the way he behaves and the way he acts is very different. Probably the weakest defeat of any Freddy. She talks him down. She's basically trying to just like calming him down, like in the Avengers when what's her face, Black Widow talks the Hulk down. That's kind of what's happening here. No, he's not gonna die. You know what would have been neat, and it's something that we never got, and it's something that the filmmakers never really understand, that we wanted until part 3 really, that we wanted returning characters, you know, and I feel Nancy should have been in this, helping Jesse, something like that. I mean, I know he finds the diary or whatever, but I think there should have been some kind of connection. That's why I think Scream is such an important franchise, because it's continued with the characters. You can see the gel fuel. See it all kind of slimy at the top? That's the gel fuel that they do so that the fire can follow that track. You see that? Kind of like where's on the bars there. That's all, and then there's puddles of gel, just to keep the fire contained, so you can have it burning, but it's not going to go anywhere else. So I do like that. That's a little movie magic there. So Freddy is burning. Wow, this is a great effect. So again, another reason I don't like this movie is the ending. Freddy dies because Jesse's girlfriend, quote unquote, says, "I want him back, please." She says, "Please," really, you know, really nicely, and that's really all it took. You know, you didn't have to do Home Alone traps like Nancy did. Just, just say you're sorry. Say you're sorry. Beautiful looking movie, though. I mean, the colors are great. It's just exquisite. I mean, it's an excellent looking movie. And despite all the weird, you know, shenanigans. And then we get a little Ghostbusters action. If you remember the end of that film, it always reminded me of that. After they send Gozer back to wherever, it's Dana and Lewis are in the dogs, and they break him out of the dogs. So it's kind of like Jesse's technically doing the same thing. He's kind of breaking out of the Freddy. Reborn once again. How many movies does Freddy actually win? The first movie, right? Gosh, I don't remember. That's a good question. I think technically he wins all of them because he always comes back. So, I guess you could technically, except for New Nightmare, but I guess you could say all of them. All of them. Yep, Jesse is reborn. Fresh face, footloose, fancy free. Hey Lisa, thank you for saving me. By the way, I'm gay. So, let's be friends. I mean, that's kind of what, that's what's gonna happen, right? There's no way. I don't really see this couple working out. And I feel bad for her having to go through all this, having to go through like the human-faced dogs and all that. But it is what it is. We're back on the street, bright, sunny day. It's another bus. Uh-oh. Is it going to be a replay of what we just saw in the beginning of the movie? Or is Freddy really dead? This feels familiar to the ending of the first movie. I wonder if, and maybe we'll hear from Robert Shea when we do the watch-along for Part 3. I wonder if they really thought about this in terms of sequels. If they thought, oh, we're going to make a Part 3 for sure. Or if they sort of left it like, we'll see what happens kind of a thing. Look, that guy took up 2 seats. No, man. You put your fucking book bag on somebody else's seat. Hold that bike. Or the bag. What the hell, bro? Happy ending. Yay, we're all together. Happy ending. Nothing bad's going to happen. Hooray, hooray. Let's just go to school, everybody. Yay! That's a nice old-fashioned looking school. It's just a bump on the road. Don't be scared. It's not a problem at all. What's the worst that could happen? Well, now he's a grandma. It's too fast. Slow down. The driver's not gonna stop. You know why? Well, actually, he's gonna stop. Because there's a little chubby kid that has to get on the bus. I actually forgot how this movie ends. To be completely honest, it's been a while since I've seen it. But I'm pretty sure it ends with a cliffhanger, like not literal like we had in the beginning, but. Oh, yeah. I remember what happens now. Oh, yeah. What an ending. Fuck, yeah. I remember now. Yeah. What a great... That's an excellent scare. So, he wins in this one. Jesse's fucked. His friends are fucked. You can't kill Freddy. Obviously, you can't kill him by saying, hey, stop it. Which is what Lisa tried to do. And there we go. That is... Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2. A very, very interesting cast. A film chock full of double entendres and subtext that can be, honestly, in my opinion, only read one way. I think it's a really interesting film. I don't think it's the best one at all, but I think special effects-wise, cinematography-wise, it's great. Really unique. The ending is super weak. Jesse's my least favorite final boy, scream queen, I guess you could call him. I think if Jesse were a stronger character, I think if the ending were, I don't know, had a little, for lack of a better term, had more balls on it, this could have been a really good sequel. But it doesn't matter because we still got a franchise out of it. And in my opinion, we get the best movie since the original Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. That's up next on Watch Along. And I'll be providing my live commentary for that as well with movie facts and things like that. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at the second installment of what is, a beloved franchise. I'm not a big Freddy guy, but I felt that's why I wanted to start with Freddy, because it's something everybody has, and it's a movie that everybody's seen, so it wouldn't be surprising to anybody. So I thought I'd start with this franchise because I needed to revisit it. It's been a while, and I wanted to revisit it with you guys. A good little film with a terrible script. And I kind of hope that it will grow in appreciation, if anything, just for Mark's behalf. Thank you very much. Don't forget to roundhouse the like button. That's a good way to put it. That helps the channel, helps the video, all that good stuff, and keeps me coming back to do these if you guys are into it. The cycle says, did 2 lack socialness? Seems to be focused on that one boy's life, and he's not very social, which makes for a very boring movie. Absolutely agree, and I think that's the main problem with it. Like I was saying, it's all about Jesse. And that's kind of lame. And that's it. Movie's over. Dover. I do love a big ensemble cast, so we're going to get a big ensemble cast for part 3. Stay tuned. Next week we'll be doing part 3. Stand in silence once to know when 3 is. I don't know. I can't tell you right now because it's up in the air. Things may shift, but it'll either be next Wednesday or next Thursday. The number one thing you can do, guys, this helps a lot for live shows specifically. Pay attention to your YouTube feeds. Make sure you've hit the notification bells, or the notification bell in general, for alerts for my channel, so that you know what's coming up, because I might throw something up. I threw one up last night, spur of the minute, 3 hours notice, and I had people show up, which is great. So if you want to know when things are up, hit the notification bell. People don't do that, but it's 100% important, and it's necessary. It helps you guys, it helps me, and it's helpful in general. So either Wednesday or Thursday next week, we'll be doing the watch along for that. And I will be putting up the placeholder for that probably the day before. So either Tuesday or Wednesday, watch the channel. I'll let you know at least a day before. If you guys want a little more notice, maybe let me know, and I'll give you 2 days notice. And make sure you hit notify me once you see the placeholder up. When it says, oh, notify me, you have to hit notify me, because it also tells YouTube that people are interested, and they might show it to people who aren't subscribed. Hit notify me. You can click on the video, leave a thumbs up already to help get the party started. That helps very, very much. Lopke says they were showing 4 and 5 at my local theater with live commentary with Lisa Wilcox. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, we'll be talking about Lisa when we get to 4 and 5. Until then, let's call it a dizzy. Matthew asks, do I have any props? I don't have any props. I do have some merchandise. I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll bring it to the stream for part 3. Stan says, please put a reminder thing on the channel I can click on. I will. Once it goes up, just be alert, and it will go up. You just have to be alert. As a matter of fact, I just put one up for the Vinegar Syndrome discussion tomorrow. Sorry guys, a little dry throat there. Any word on Headless Horseman? Yes! It'll be out in a month. You'll be able to see the goddamn movie in a month. We're locking editing this week. And the movie will be out in a goddamn month. You will see it. You will see it. Oh my god, it's kind of unreal. And on top of that, I got the title for what my next movie will be. And it's fucking bonkers. So bonkers, I'm like, let me make that movie. Please, 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 I want to make that movie. I can't tell you what it is yet, because it's not official yet. Once it's official, well, Patreon will be the first to know. And then you guys. Where and how for my movie? Oh, it'll be on Tubi. Stay tuned. I'll talk about it more when I have information. But I think it's going to be streaming on Tubi for free. Alright guys, I got things to do, you got things to do. Let's call it a day. Let's say farewell to Freddy, and farewell to you. I'll see you tomorrow for another live show, or I'll see you down the line for the Friday Full Moon Fright Night. That's the name of it, Full Moon Fright Night. Or maybe I'll see you for another watch along. Until we meet again, have yourself some very pleasant nightmares.